So we're going to look at number 8b. And 8b is square root of x squared plus 30x, and that's equal to 8. And solving this, we can solve this, and it's not that difficult to solve, but where the difficulty lies is in the restrictions. Okay, the restrictions are going to be based on this inside being positive, or where x squared plus 30x is greater than or equal to 0. Now, the reason why this is a little bit more difficult is because it is now a quadratic. So we're going to have two boundary points, and we got to figure out which sides of this are going to be restrictions. So there's a few different ways we can do this. So first of all, I should really factor to find my zeros so I can figure out my boundary points. So when I do this, I know that my zeros are going to be at 0 and negative 30. Now, to figure out which parts of that are going to be bigger than 0, we can test by plugging in. So we can draw a number line. And there's going to be negative 30. And there's going to be x equals 0. And we can just plug in some numbers to see which ones are going to be giving us bigger than 0. The other way we can check this is we can just kind of imagine this is an upward parabola, and it's got zeros at negative 30 and 0. And what we're doing is we're looking for the part that's greater than 0. Okay, so the part that's going to be greater than 0, the greater than, is going to be this section here and this section here. So when we test this on the number line, we can see that this is going to be true. So if I test this on the number line, if I plug in x is, let's say x is negative 10. Okay, so negative 10, I'm going to get negative 10 times negative 10 plus 30 is 20. So I get negative 200. Well, that is not greater than 0. So I know that that can't be true. And so that I know that on the other side of the boundary, it must be true. So I know that these parts here, which kind of matches the graph above, those parts of the number line are going to be my bigger than 0 inequality, which I need to make sure the square root is positive. Okay, I could also check numbers like x is 1. 1 times 31 is positive, so that section is okay. If I check a number less than negative 30, for example, negative 31, I get negative 31 times negative 1, that's positive. And again, that section would be okay as well, just by doing a number check. And we can do number checks based on the boundaries of 0, because we're just trying to figure out where it's going to be above 0 and below 0, so we can check for values that are positive and negative when we substitute in numbers. The easier way would be to just visualize a parabola based on the zeros and figure out if it's facing up, it's going to be on the outsides, it's going to be above, and it's going to be in between the zeros, which is going to be below, and if it's upside down, it'd be the other way around. So there are different ways we can establish the restriction. So the restriction formally written then is going to look like this. X must be less than or equal to negative 30, or x is greater than or equal to 0, and both of those will give us x's that are positive. Now at this point then we can solve this equation.